Come on, Chiefs fans! Breaking news! We're gearing up for the playoffs, and there's some drama and changes happening behind the scenes. The Chiefs could hold the key to shaking up the AFC playoff picture in Week 18 and potentially putting the Cincinnati Bengals season on the line. I'm excited and optimistic. I truly believe we have what it takes to win this Super Bowl. We have Patrick Mahomes, and many teams would kill for this guy on their team. He's a powerful weapon, no doubt. But I want to hear from you. Do you believe we'll win another Super Bowl? If so, hit that like button hard. If possible, write something like, "Go Chiefs! Go Mahomes!" After the Chiefs' dominant 29-10 win over the Steelers on Christmas Day, Kansas City secured the top seed in the AFC and a first-round bye. That's great news for us, but there's a plot twist that could make Week 18 a game-changing moment for other teams, especially the Cincinnati Bengals. Here's the situation. The Chiefs close out their regular season against the Denver Broncos, who are fighting tooth and nail for a playoff spot. They're currently 2 games ahead of the Bengals, Colts, and Dolphins for the 7th seed in the AFC. A win over the Bengals this weekend would clinch their playoff spot. But if Cincinnati can pull off the win, the Bengals' playoff hopes could hinge on Kansas City starting its starters in Week 18. With the top seed locked up, the Chiefs have no real incentive to risk injuries by starting their starters against the Broncos, especially after playing 3 grueling games in just 10 days. Andy Reid has historically been quick to rest key players when the opportunity presents itself. Last season, for example, Reid rested his starters in Week 18 against the Chargers, and the Chiefs still came away with a narrow 13-12 victory thanks to their backups. This year, the stakes are different. If Denver needs a win in Week 18 to clinch its playoff spot, they could face a Chiefs team comprised mostly of backups. Meanwhile, the Bengals, who need to beat the Steelers this weekend to stay in the playoff hunt, could find themselves watching Kansas City's final game of the season with everything on the line. It's a wild scenario, especially considering the Chiefs' and Bengals' close history in recent years. When asked about Week 18, Patrick Mahomes told reporters that he's preparing as if he'll start, but ultimately, the decision is up to Coach Reid. "I'll be ready if Coach wants me to play, but if he doesn't, I trust his judgment," Mahomes said. With the playoffs already secured, Reid may prioritize resting his team to ensure they are fully healthy for the divisional round. So what do you think, Chiefs fans? Should Reid rest the starters and let the chips fall where they may, or should we go full force and keep the Broncos out of the playoffs regardless of what happens with Cincinnati? Now, let's talk about the latest injury update from head coach Andy Reid, and it's one that will surely make all Chiefs fans breathe a sigh of relief. On Monday, Reid shared that there are no new injuries to report as the team prepares for its regular season finale against the Denver Broncos. Considering the grueling stretch of games Kansas City has endured recently, this is exactly the kind of update we've all been waiting to hear. The Chiefs have dealt with a number of injuries throughout the season, leaving the roster looking thin at times. But now, the team is finally starting to get healthy again, perfect timing as they shift their focus to the playoffs. With the top seed in the AFC already locked up, Reid is expected to rest most of his starters against Denver. Add in the first-round bye, and we're looking at more than 3 weeks for players to recover before the AFC divisional round. For key players like Patrick Mahomes, whose ankle has been a concern early in the season, this extended break is invaluable. Hollywood Brown is back and looking sharp, while Chris Jones is dealing with some minor issues that shouldn't affect his availability for the postseason. The only real question marks are Rashee Rice and Jalen Watson. Watson's recent social media posts suggest he may be closer to returning than initially expected, but we'll have to wait for more updates. Another positive? The offensive line is finally coming together. Since Joe Thuney moved to left tackle and Mike Caliendo came in at guard, the protection has improved significantly. Reid may even try out DJ Humphries at right tackle during practice, but the team's playoff lineup will likely depend on how things play out in the coming weeks. The priority for this week is crystal clear: avoid unnecessary injuries during practice or in the meaningless Week 18 game. The Chiefs are currently the favorites to win the Super Bowl, with odds of plus 370 at FanDuel Sportsbook, and this team seems to be peaking at the right time. With 3 wins separating Kansas City from football immortality, staying healthy is the final piece of the puzzle. Now it's your turn, Chiefs fans. Are you confident in the health of this team for the playoffs? Do you think resting starters in Week 18 is the right decision? Now, let's address the big question that has fans all excited. Should the Chiefs rest Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and other starters in Week 18 against the Denver Broncos? Here's the deal. The Chiefs clinched the top seed in the AFC with their dominant 29-10 win over the Steelers on Christmas Day. That means they've secured home field advantage and a first-round bye. From a playoff perspective, Week 18 is essentially meaningless for Kansas City. But for the Denver Broncos, it's a different story. The Broncos, sitting on the cusp of a wild-card spot, need a win over the Chiefs to clinch their playoff berth. If they lose, their postseason hopes will depend on the New York Jets beating the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Cincinnati Bengals. The stakes couldn't be higher for Denver, and that puts Kansas City in an interesting position. Coach Andy Reid now faces a tough decision. Does he rest key players like Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones, ensuring they stay healthy for the playoffs? Or does he let them play, risking injury but keeping the momentum going into the divisional round? There's historical precedent to consider. In similar situations, Reid has chosen to rest starters. Last season, with nothing to gain in Week 18, the Chiefs reserves pulled out a win over the Blaine Gabbert-led Chargers. However, this year's dynamic is different. The Broncos are a divisional rival, and their last meeting with Kansas City was a nail-biter. The Chiefs blocked a potentially game-winning field goal in November to escape with a win. Could Reid be tempted to play spoiler and keep Denver out of the playoffs? According to Bleacher Report's scouting team, the Chiefs should prioritize health over rivalry. They argue that resting starters like Mahomes and Kelce is essential to a deep playoff run. One of the hardest parts of winning back-to-back championships is fighting off burnout, the report states. The Chiefs have done the hard work to earn the number 1 seed. This week, they should rest their most prominent and veteran starters to ensure they're at full strength for the postseason. It's a compelling argument. Long playoff runs take their toll, and injuries to key players could derail Kansas City's quest for another Super Bowl title. On the other hand, there's something to be said for keeping players sharp and competitive. Some NFL coaches, like Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions, believe in starting starters regardless of the stakes. For Campbell, it's about keeping the momentum going and avoiding rust, a sentiment some Chiefs fans might share. Then there's the psychological angle. Would allowing a division rival like Denver to make the playoffs come back to haunt Kansas City? Or is the opportunity to heal and refine their game plan during the bye week too valuable to pass up? Chiefs fans, this is where you come in. What do you guys think Andy Reid should do? Should Mahomes and Kelce play to keep the momentum going, or should they sit out to make sure they're rested and ready for the divisional round? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this analysis, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth Chiefs content. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Chiefs!